What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be discussing some key takeaways from the Chicago Bulls Media Day that just took place earlier today. Or at least for me, it was earlier today. Now, normally I'd like to do dot points and I'd like to talk about every single minute detail that took place, every word I would have written down and everything in between, and we'd talk about it for 30, 40 minutes of the day. Unfortunately, I don't have that kind of time anymore these days, ladies and gentlemen, so what I will be doing is discussing those key takeaways, some of the key words that they like to bring to the table, my concerns, as well as my positives coming out of Media Day and everything in between. I definitely think it's a little bit of a whirlwind. I can't sit here and tell you everything was kind of positive, and I also can't sit here and tell you that everything was kind of negative as well. We're kind of in that in-between stage, ladies and gentlemen. So with that being said, let's take that deeper dive and let's talk about it in this video. Before we get any further, if you liked the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know what you guys think about the Chicago Bulls Media Day. Did you like it? Did you not like it? And ultimately, what do you think it's going to mean heading into training camp, which is starting very soon, and preseason, which is starting very soon? And I'm excited for all those things. I'm excited for the beginning of the season to take place, and I'm excited to see where we truly stand in the conference. With that being said, we're going to talk about Billy Donovan and Arturas Karnisovas first. The reason why I'm going to talk about them first is because I feel like everybody likes to talk about them first. They are obviously the two guys you want to hear from the most, and at the end of the day, they are the ones that have the most to say. Arturas Karnisovas isn't necessarily known for his Media Day stuff. He's not really known for public speaking. In fact, it's probably one of the negatives you could put to his name is that he's not a big, media sort of guy. And then Billy Donovan is kind of the opposite. I think he's a very brutal person in terms of Media Day. He's very open and honest. He tries to discuss certain ways in which the Bulls did struggle and try to bounce back from that and all those things. And he does it in an honest way, which I've always admired about Billy Donovan. Say what you like about him as a head coach, but when it comes to speaking about this Bulls team in ways that we can improve, he doesn't shy away from those questions. He's very honest with you. So with that being said, the key word here that they were talking about, or the key phrases they were talking about, is A, how the Bulls were towards the end of the season. I think they said something around 14-9. Maybe that was actually, we were 14th in offense, 9th in defense. We had a really good end to the season, and we just overall were very positive. They even mentioned something about when Kevin Huerter was in the lineup, we were like 8-1, or at least that was a question asked to them. They talked about physicality and how they brought Isaac Okoro specifically to bring physicality into this team. They talked about how bad we were on the physicality side of things against the Miami Heat. When we needed to be more physical, we couldn't deliver, and getting someone like Isaac Okoro in is going to help. They also mentioned they expect him to take more shots, considering there's more opportunities to score in Chicago at the moment compared to Cleveland, which makes perfect sense. And they did mention a little bit about free agency. They mentioned Kobe White, and I think they mentioned Ayo, if I'm not mistaken. But all in all, not too many crazy things to take away from this Media Day from them. I would say a lot of indecisiveness, but the one positive, decisive answer that they gave in relation to free agency was that they love Kobe White and that they want him to be around for a long time. So that doesn't spark me as a general management or front office that is willing to let go of Kobe White easy, which we made a video about him just yesterday with the Houston Rockets, and how we would have to milk the situation if we wanted to let Kobe White leave. At the end of the day, I'm just saying this, their love for Kobe White, and they publicly expressed that they want him to be around for a long time. Does that sound like a front office that's going to give up Kobe White that easily? I would arguably say no. So that was my very key takeaway as a definitive answer. But a lot of it was indecisiveness. It was, well, let's take a look at the data in a few weeks and then we can make our decisions accordingly. Let's see how this Bulls team goes this season and we can make our decisions accordingly next season and, experiment on the court. Let's see what, for example, a guy like they talked about development with Noah Senge, and they talked about development with Matas Bazelas. It was very much a wait-and-see sort of approach and everything in between. So that's kind of what I take away from the Media Day. I feel like this was one of the more quiet Media Days for those two that I could think of in recent years. It doesn't necessarily mean anything bad happened. I don't think anything really bad happened in Media Day. I just think they gave the very basic answers you could give, and it was a lot of wait-and-sees as we look forward to the regular season. So I guess that's what we're going to have to do here. We're going to have to wait and see how things go in the regular season. So let's move on to, in my opinion, probably the more interesting media day discussions, and that was Matas Buzelis in his second year. First and foremost, this guy looks absolutely ripped heading into the second season. You could tell, just look at the photos, standstill photos between him in his first season and how he looked at media day. It is a night and day improvement. I'm very impressed with the work. You could clearly tell he put in the off season. But Matas Buzelis came in as his ever confident self. He talked about, this is a quote if I'm not mistaken, how if someone else did something, he could do it. And if someone hasn't done that thing, he's going to be the first to do it. That sort of mindset, in my opinion, I don't feel like personally many players have. So he's basically suggesting that he's going to try and aim to be the best player in the world. You know, if someone has done it, he will do it. And if someone hasn't done it, he's going to be the first. That's a great mindset to have, ladies and gentlemen, and there's nothing we can take away from the confidence of Matas Buzelis. He even talked about how he wants to be coached as one of the key defenders in the team, basically an all-defensive type player. He said, yell at me yell at me on the court, yell at me in private, yell at me in the film room, whatever it takes to be treated like an all defensive minded player. That's what he expects from the coaching staff. And I like that he set that foundation, because it gives the rights now for the coach and the coaching staff to do what he's asked. And that is all you can really ask for in that sort of situation. Very, very happy with that response. And he did mention things about becoming most improved as well. He wants to be a most improved player. Again, I think there's a long time until we could get to that point. I'm not necessarily going to say he's going to be winning most improved, or he's going to be, I guess, not in the conversation. I don't really know. That's the real answer there. But, you know, even if he doesn't win it this year, he's still going to be a shoo-in to win it in a few seasons' time. So let's just wait and see how that goes. I'm excited for his second season. And yeah, very confident, as you guys are well aware. He talked about Yuki a little bit for all the people that loved Yuki in the summer league and whatnot, basically saying he's a trash talker, which I find hilarious. But, you know, it's always nice to have a little bit of competition in places. And yeah, overall, very, very unique player. So there's a lot of things that he said. Let's move on to Ayo. A lot of Ayo's media day was basically about his injury and his spot in the team. So he talked about his injury, basically said he's feeling great. It was a very similar, normal off-season for him. The first month or so was a bit rigorous, but once he ended up picking up a basketball, it motivated him to go to the next steps, which is absolutely lovely. He talked about free agency, and again, another kind of wait-and-see sort of answer. He didn't really mention much about wanting to stay in Chicago. He just sort of said, let's wait and see until, you know, he's kind of a short-term approach. Let's worry about media day, worry about training camp, and then worry about the season. Then we'll get to July and figure it out, which, again, I don't mind the answer. I would love him to say, you know what, I want to stay in Chicago, maybe make the front office make that decision, but ultimately, who really knows? But yeah, those things, very basic answers. In terms of talking about his role in the team because of bringing back Tre Jones and there's a lot of guard competition, he essentially said he feels confident he's going to get big minutes for the Chicago Bulls and that he's going to make an impact when he's on the court, which I call him Mr. Dependable for a reason, so I have no issues with that answer, and there's no reason why he shouldn't be playing big minutes. We love multi-guard systems, and Ayo's going to fit right into that, so I'm not worried about Ayo and his minutes. Maybe at the beginning of the season we can question it, but I think throughout a course of an 82-game season, he's going to play just fine, and he's going to get a good chunk of minutes and a good chunk of opportunities. Nothing to worry about, in my opinion. And then let's talk about Nikola Vucevic. So Vucevic's media day, as to no one's surprise, is about rumors of trades and about retirement. And to be fair, he kind of answered both questions very, very well. In terms of, I guess, media day and in terms of his retirement, he basically shut that down, saying, I don't know why everybody's thinking I'm going to retire. He literally said at the age of 35, he feels better than when he was at 29 years old, which is, you know, I guess it goes to show that he's making a message there. He still has multiple years left in the league before he calls it quits. He also referred to his retirement from the Eurobasket and, you know, those European competitions is not necessarily because of, you know, not feeling good or he's getting older. It's more to spend more time with his family and stuff of that nature, which, You know, he's making statements out there. And that's good for the rest of the league to know, because when you think of someone that's 35, you're not thinking of someone that has another 5 years left in his career. You're thinking of someone very short term, 1 to 2 years, that could make a difference for you. But he's making it public that he has a lot left in the tank. So I admire that about Nikola Vucevic. And in terms of trade talks, he said basically they're all rumors. He's had a great communication with the front office the entire time. And that if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, he will be focusing on the Chicago Bulls. But all in all, not much really to take away from that. And he was also one of those people, when asked about free agency, he was non-committal to the Chicago Bulls, which, again, with him I expect. With Ayo, I would have liked him to have said, I love Chicago, I want to be here, I'm from here, all these sort of things, which we didn't really get to see. But with Vucevic, I kind of expected, all right, well, non-committal. Of course he is. He wants to win. We don't know if we're going to be a team that's going to be winning more games than we're losing. So, yeah. That was really it in terms of media day. But again, another key takeaway with everybody, they all talked about physicality. That was the buzzword, if there was any buzzword, in terms of on-the-court action. How can we be more physical? They mentioned and praised a lot about Isaac Okoro and how he has been in terms of the scrimmages and in terms of bringing a physicality to this team, fighting over screens, battling tooth and nail, guarding the opponent's best players. So I hope that energy is contagious, because this team is very similar to last year. So if physicality is a problem last year, I fully expect physicality to be a problem this year as well. But hopefully with the addition of Isaac Okoro and the contagiousness of his game, I hope it can translate over to the NBA and to the Chicago Bulls, and everybody else can follow his lead in that regard. They were also very non-committal to the starting five. So, you know, a lot of wait and see sort of things. It is what it is. I'm not terribly surprised. We got a lot of non-committal stuff. We got a lot of wait and sees. I'm also very disappointed, because Bulls fans, we want the gossip. We want the confirmations. You know what I mean? We don't want, well, let's wait and see to the preseason and all that. We don't want that. But at the end of the day, that's what we got, and I'm not going to be upset about it. What do you guys think, though? Do you guys think we're going to have a good preseason, good training camp? The best thing I could say is that, A, everybody's here. By the way, Kobe White has a calf strain, and he's limited. So that's something to keep in mind. So he's not going to have the best training camp, which could hurt in the start of the regular season. He might come off with a bad start. I have no idea. So one, non-committal stuff. They're talking about physicality and everything in between. I kind of lost my train of thought. We'll leave it there. But yeah, like that's where we're at the moment. Hopefully we can, I think we'll have a good training camp, because again, we will gel together. This team has played with each other before, so we have another year of young players learning together on the fly. It's very clear that Billy Donovan has these players' attentions as well. I'm hoping for a very good training camp for the Chicago Bulls, and I expect that we will. I'll talk about some key takeaways. I did make that video a while back, actually, but haven't uploaded it yet because training camp hasn't started. So now that it has kind of took place, it's kicking off. Let's wait and see. Thank you for watching. See you guys in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care. And peace.